Waterloo. She came to Canada in the early 90s after fleeing a war, determined to seek a better life for herself and one day her future family. She came to Canada full of hopes and dreams, and if I'm being honest, knocked it right out of the park. But that journey was anything but easy. In fact, it was filled with challenges at every step. And in 2019, my mom was diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer, a diagnosis that placed my sister and I in a spot where we were her primary caregivers. And this diagnosis came after years of her struggling with multiple hip replacements to post-surgery complications and osteoarthritis-related pain. And while this cancer diagnosis brought about new challenges, new fears and uncertainties, and they were big ones, they also compounded the pre-existing chronic pain she was living with. The fabric of my mom's hopes and her dreams started to wear thin. Arthritis, characterized by pain and immobility, causes more depression, disability, and unemployment than any other chronic condition. Osteoarthritis, which is actually the most common form of arthritis, is a degenerative joint disease where the cartilage between your joints, that's the squishy stuff that prevents them from rubbing together, gradually deteriorates. Today, in Canada, there are 4.6 million Canadians living with osteoarthritis, a number projected to significantly increase in years to come. In this experience that 4.6 million Canadians are living with is markedly shaped by physical pain that just never quite goes away. And while there are physical components to this experience, I'm not refuting that, there's also a host of emotional and social dynamics that we have to consider. And when we consider these dynamics, we're left with a pain experience that is incredibly complicated, where not only is living with pain challenging, but trying to explain it to a healthcare provider, now that is a whole other beast in and of itself. Now, before we get too far into things, and it's been a long day, so I want us to use our brains a bit, not saying we haven't, I want us to do a little bit of a thought exercise. I want each of you to go back, think long and hard about the last time you were at the doctor's office. Whether it's for, a broken bone, a sprained ankle, a cough that gives you like a really sharp, just like sensation like right here, that just, ow. Whatever it might be, I want you to think back to when you sat down with your healthcare provider and they asked you, how would you describe your pain on a scale of 0 to 10? How did you come up with that answer? Well, first, all right, you got to think about when did this pain start? Okay, then there's how intense is the pain? Is this the first time I've had this pain? Do I have any pre-existing conditions or comorbidities that might make it a bit? You see where I'm getting at? There's a lot to consider. And that's because the pain experience is inherently complex. You see, we don't have a set or precise language to capture the nuances or the subtleties of each individual experience, which is a problem. Now imagine how challenging this is when pain is a daily experience, such as for chronic conditions like osteoarthritis that don't have a cure. And when you consider all these things that you have to think about before coming up with that number, it begs a question. How do you advocate for something you don't have the words to describe? Now, osteoarthritis-related pain is complex, and the current diagnostic procedures and medical frameworks that we have in place struggle to fully accurately capture that experience. And as a result, you find folks, unfortunately, having to repeatedly explain themselves, only to have their concerns dismissed and inadequately addressed, leaving them feeling both unheard and unsupported. Now, let's say there are 10 folks standing in front of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say out of these 10 folks, they're all living with chronic pain. That's not me saying you have chronic pain, it's just stating. Now, out of those 10 folks, how many do you think are getting the proper care they need to address their pain? Give me numbers here. Come on, this is interactive. Let me hear something.
1.
Okay, 7, yeah. What's an acceptable number for you? 8. Well, the research shows that it's actually 50%. Only half of the folks standing in that group will live and have their pain adequately managed. 5-0. Now I want you to look to the person on your right. Between the two of you, only one of you will live with chronic pain that is adequately addressed for the rest of their life. That's pretty stark. That is surprising, but not really. Because when my mom's responses to treatments didn't fit within the boxes of our assumptions, The common response we got was, well, I mean, folks of her demographic, they often respond that way. It was almost as though she had to settle for whatever she could get. And this is why we need to approach pain differently, because the traditional models we have just aren't enough. We need new models to understand pain more fully. So let me tell you about mine. Now, it was through intentional conversations with folks living in the community with osteoarthritis-related pain that I had this amazing opportunity to hear and see what did osteoarthritis mean and look like to them. And it was through these conversations that there was this umbrella theme or this umbrella topic that kept coming up, that when you boiled it down, it came down to this question. And it looked like this: I have pain, now what? And this question, it stirred this urgency, this responsibility to figure out, how do we address this issue? How can we ensure that folks just like my mom feel heard, seen, and supported? And I realized that the answer to this question isn't one-dimensional. It's not a simple, just throw it out there and it'll stick. No. It's a multi-dimensional framework that considers both certainty and control. Now, when we look up top, we have this idea of certainty. And certainty is all about the confidence you have in managing pain. At the top, you know for a fact that you have everything you need to manage your pain and ensure you have a quality of life. However, as uncertainty creeps in and doubts arise for a whole host of reasons, that starts to shift. Your perspective shifts into something of, I have pain. Now I'm not sure I know what to do or I can do because of it. On the other hand, we have this idea of control. And control is all about the idea of being able to do the things you love despite pain. When you're in control, think of pain more like a background character. It's there, but it's kind of like in the background, not in the spotlight, no worries. However, as pain persists and becomes more limiting, that sentiment shifts and becomes I have pain. Now I can't do what I want because of it. Now, okay, we're gonna do something a little different. I want you to close your eyes. This is not me saying go to bed. I want us to open them up after a little bit. But I want you to close your eyes and imagine a dartboard for a second. And if that's too tough, no worries, open them up again. I actually brought one with me just in case. To start, I want us to imagine throwing darts. Emphasis on imagine, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure I have everything I need to crush this. I looked through many resources, wrote a couple systematic reviews and a couple meta-analyses, and all of them said that if I take a deep breath, ground myself, keep my eye on that bullseye, I should be able to crush this, right? All right. So I have the tools, I have the darts, I got the board right in front of me. Let's do this. And then light shut off. One moment I'm ready, and the next I'm standing in the dark, completely thrown off course. And despite having done everything, at least in my own opinion, to get the best possible outcome, it just doesn't happen. Now, for those living with osteoarthritis-related pain, there's often a belief that if I go to the right doctor, if I see the right thing, if I get the right treatment, I'll be able to regain that control that pain has taken away. But then the pain persists. And I mean, sure, yeah, I said the right things, I went to the right doctors, I got that treatment that worked. But pain remained as a barrier in that path to a pain-free existence. It leaves you with frustrations and questions like, the surgery worked for my friend. Why didn't it work for me? And this journey is a lot like throwing darts at a board, searching for the right treatment. Except there is no bullseye. There is no cure for osteoarthritis. And whatever effective treatments there may be are scattered among many that might not be as effective. And as a result, your hope for relief is challenged by an unpredictable nature of pain and a lack of control over the outcome. And just when you think you're making progress again, the lights go out, leaving you in the dark. Now let's imagine I've been using this method for a while, all right? And the only marks I've made are on the wall surrounding that board of my very bruised ego. I am over this. It is very apparent that the prep that I took, that the time I put into investing into those ideal outcomes was for nothing. I have literally no control over this outcome. And it's starting to wear me out. If I'm being honest, I'm done. So after a while of trying and many, many unmet expectations, a pervasive sense of uncertainty can set in the pain experience. And this experience is compounded by pain that keeps persisting and its growing influence over your life, leaving you worn out. Not just physically, but mentally, by this constant battle of trying to manage pain and the uncertain nature of it all. Because sure, you might want to take that trip, you might want to tend to your garden, but it's going to cost you. It's going to leave you in pain. And sometimes, if we're being really honest, that just isn't feasible. Coping with osteoarthritis-related pain can feel a lot like being caught between a rock and a hard place. It's this idea of, I have pain, but I can still do what I want. However, deep down you know that nothing will fully fix it. It's like hitting the board but missing the mark. And after a while, that pain starts to feel all-encompassing, and then sensations of feeling worn out start to set in. However, when we think about it, this idea of coping can be like playing darts and getting access to a flashlight that provides with a little bit more visual control, right? We're not fully in the dark, and allows you to hit the board. Because sure, you're still missing the mark, but I'm on the board. Wins all around, right? Coping with osteoarthritis pain means managing daily challenges with solutions that give only partial relief. Now, in this situation, the flashlight symbolizes the tools that you can use to maintain some level of control and functionality, whether it's an over-the-counter medication, an injection, anything, you name it. However, these strategies don't fully resolve the pain or restore your well-being, and they keep you going, but provide you with a little bit of direction in the dark. The mantra here becomes, we have things to do, so let's keep going. We've got to keep pushing through. And that's what coping is. It means moving forward despite the pain, even if it means never fully reaching a pain-free state. But those unmet expectations, that feeling of being worn out, the coping, that's not where I want to be. That's not where I know it can be. What now? You know what? I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. Let's do this one more time. Let's just reset. All right, shoulders back, deep breath. I'm gonna keep my eye on the dart. And is that a light switch over there? Now, with the light's on, I have clearer vision. I have more control, and I'm confident of my outcome. And after facing challenges, poor visibility, and uncertainty, bullseye. Overcoming osteoarthritis-related pain involves reaching a state where you are certain in your ability to manage your pain and in control of what you do. It's this idea of, yeah, I have pain, but I am in control of it. And I am certain that there are things I can do to ensure I don't overdo it. It means finding a balance between pushing through and maintaining self-care. And you see, hitting the bullseye, just like I did there-ish, takes time, it takes precision, it takes adjustments. And navigating osteoarthritis-related pain requires a similar approach. But I think it's important to be real for a moment, because the odds of me, a very, very inexperienced darter, I think that's the word, hitting a bullseye right off the hop, less than 1%. However, when you factor in experience, resilience, and everything in between, that odd chance of overcoming rises exponentially. But when you break it down, odd chances don't happen by chance. They don't happen just because, but rather the summation of resources, of privilege, of support that not all folks have access to. And just as the coordinates for each of those darts I metaphorically threw were so unique, so too are the experiences of each individual living with osteoarthritis-related pain. Now this right here captivates a sentiment that many often ask themselves. I have pain, now what? And while appearing like a one-dimensional or simple question on the surface, these 5 words right here hold depth and complexity that a simple questionnaire cannot capture. These 5 words represent a multidimensional framework of contextual factors, of daily choices, and doubts of what the future holds. A multi-dimensional framework that reflects the intricate reality of individuals living with osteoarthritis-related pain. One that creates a continuum of those 4 common experiences. Now, I'm happy to say that my mom is in remission. She's living with chronic pain well and is actually here today. I love you, Mom. And none of that would have been possible without the lessons, or gold nuggets, I should say, that she learned along the way. By going through those instances of being worn out, of coping, of of having those unmet expectations, and today, overcoming osteoarthritis-related pain, and on a larger scale, chronic pain is a journey. It's a journey that requires a more specific view. It's a journey that can't necessitate temporary or quick fixes, but rather one that embraces the complexities of each individual experience. And while this framework is just one perspective, it's one that can empower folks like my mom and her healthcare providers to navigate the unpredictable nature of pain. And by fostering deeper insights and just allowing for more compassion, this approach can help individuals face the unknowns of chronic pain with a sense of renewed certainty and control. So what does this mean? What does this mean for those 4.6 million Canadians living with osteoarthritis-related pain? Well, it means applying a framework of this capacity means creating a more compassionate and effective approach to pain management. And that is why you should care, regardless of if you're living with osteoarthritis-related pain, supporting someone with that type of pain, or not it. Because everyone deserves to feel heard, understood, and empowered in their health journey. And in the odd chance, overcome. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.